Andretti in F1? The FIA responds fiercely. It seems like Andretti is more than ready to enter Formula One, but the FIA has issued yet another warning for his actions. After Andretti announced a very interesting partnership with an American engine manufacturer, the FIA and F1 are really mad because he went behind their backs and is now risking his entrance into F1. With that being said, let's see what Andretti did that really got the FIA mad. Just a couple of days ago, the FIA tweeted about official talks being started regarding the entrance of the 11th team. After all, this was inevitable with how the sport's popularity has increased in the States and with all the new possibilities that it has opened for Formula One. But while Andretti is the number one choice for this role, it seems like the FIA has let Michael and Mario know that they are not the only parties that want to join Formula One, and the interest is higher than ever. With this warning, Andretti needs to be more careful when it comes to his actions, and the latest one definitely doesn't go in his favor. Right after the FIA's tweet of the official talks, Andretti came out with an official announcement that he managed to get General Motors on board to be their partners once they enter Formula One. While the season of their entrance is still unknown, it's speculated that it will be in 2026, when the new regulations are set to kick in. What this eventually means for both sides is that they will have to find an F1 engine supplier, which is probably going to be Honda. The CEO of General Motors spoke about this situation that is supposed to happen in the near future, and while they have a fierce relationship with Honda in the other racing categories, a collaboration in F1 is bound to happen. When talking about this matter, Mark Roos, the president of General Motors, added, "We have signed agreement with a power unit supplier to begin with, and then as we move forward, we bring a lot of our expertise to create things for the future as well. On the EV part of it, obviously we do have a large partnership with Honda. We also compete against Honda in series like IndyCar as well. So we have the natural respect and relationship, which is not problematic at all. We'll talk about the engine piece of this at a later date. But what is happening between Andretti and General Motors that has pissed the FIA off? One thing that is certain is the fact that Andretti's entrance into Formula One hasn't been officially announced yet, which is why the governing body is mad that Andretti is acting like he is already part of the crew. Andretti is yet to receive the green light, and as of now, he doesn't have many friends on the grid. There are just two teams that support Andretti's push in Formula One, and they are McLaren and Alpine. Other than that, nobody is keen on having an 11th team added to the grid. Nevertheless, Andretti continued with his push, and it seems like he is one step closer to becoming a separate individual team on the grid. After all, he did keep true to his promise that he'd bring a lot of new investors into the sport, which is exactly what is going on with General Motors' involvement in Formula One. When talking about this matter, Michael Andretti, the CEO of Andretti Global, was more than excited to announce the partnership with Cadillac, further adding, "We are continuing to grow Andretti Global and its family of racing teams and always have our eyes on what's next. I feel that we are well suited to be a new team for Formula One and can bring value to the series and our partners and excitement for the fans. I'm proud to have GM and Cadillac alongside us as we pursue this goal. GM and Andretti share a legacy born out of the love of racing. We now have the opportunity to combine our motorsport passions and dedication to innovation to build a true American F1 bid. As of now, the goal of both sides is to compete with another F1 engine manufacturer because GM missed a deadline to sign up for the 2026 engine providers. However, if this team makes it far and wide, rest assured that we're going to see an American F1 engine manufacturer sooner rather than later. That could be one of the reasons why GM has involved Cadillac in this project particularly, but as of now, it's too early to talk about details. What is very interesting is that the FIA got really mad that Andretti had announced this partnership, specifically because he hadn't been given the green light yet. What Andretti keeps forgetting, or just doesn't want to remember in the first place, is the fact that he isn't the only side that wants to join F1, with Ford and Hyundai expressing increased interests as well. But Ford and Hyundai aren't building a 575,000 square foot facility in Fishers, Indiana, worth around $200 million that is supposed to be operational by 2025 and is supposed to house all of the racing teams of the Andretti Group. That, nonetheless, doesn't give Andretti the right to announce partnerships left and right, like he is already a part of the Formula One world. Toto Wolff and Stefano Domenicali would definitely have a lot to say on this matter, but still the FIA made sure to remind Andretti where his place is through an official statement, which said, There is a great interest in the F1 project at this time, with a number of conversations continuing that are not as visible as others. We all want to ensure the championship remains credible and stable, and any new entrant request will be assessed on criteria to meet these objectives by all the relevant stakeholders. Any new entrant request requires the agreement of both F1 and the FIA. And as if that wasn't enough, Andretti went on to discuss his team's starting lineup. It seems like he doesn't want to lose sight of F1 now that he is closer than ever, but he may crush his own dreams now that he is so close to the water well. Obviously, Andretti wants to make the All-American dream come true, which is why one of the drivers that is going to be 99% in the team is Colton Herta. And regarding the second driver, Andretti wants to sign a veteran that is going to give Herta a lot of knowledge in his first days in Formula One. One of the drivers that Andretti has eyed is Fernando Alonso, and if Andretti joins before 2026, it will be very interesting to see how he fights for his signature from Aston Martin. The two-time world champion is currently under a 3-year contract with Aston Martin, worth $15 million per season, and it will be very exciting to see Andretti try to snag him, given that Andretti previously worked with Alonso during the 2017 Indianapolis 500. And with Honda being reluctant about withdrawing from the sport, they could have the perfect opportunity to stay in the sport as an engine manufacturer. From 2026 on, Red Bull is continuing on without Honda's intellectual properties, and just imagine what Andretti could be capable of with the power of Honda's engine behind Herta's back. It could be a dream start for the company, but there are still some things that the team bosses don't like when it comes to Andretti's entrance into the sport. For starters, Wolff believes that Andretti will not add much value to the sport, and that he will take more money than he will contribute. That has been debunked with General Motors' entrance into the sport, but nonetheless, the teams are going to lose 10% of their personal revenue that they are receiving at the end of the season from Formula One. To battle this, every team is supposed to pay $200 million in dilution fund money, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's enough. Gunther Steiner, for one, thinks that those $200 million aren't enough because the costs and popularity of the sport have increased massively, which ultimately means that the money coming from the other 11th team on the grid should increase as well. But still, Andretti is a very controversial topic on the grid, and by his actions, he just keeps getting more and more hate from the team bosses. That is why Andretti and General Motors need to be very cautious with their next steps. Otherwise, they will be making a case for the most hated teams on the grid before even being part of it in the first place. Stefano Domenicali, the president of Formula One, has previously noted on many occasions that the sport isn't about quantity but quality, and the sport has no problem at all continuing to compete with 10 teams on the grid. With that being said, what do you think about Andretti's partnership with General Motors? Let us know in the comments below.